Question 3, Alison McInnes.
Presiding Officer, to ask the Scottish Government what its response is to reports that Police Scotland has been using facial recognition technology on images stored in the Police National Database.
Cabinet Secretary Michael Matheson.
Police Scotland retain images to prevent and detect crime. Police Scotland has provided assurance that photographs are only taken when a suspect is detained, arrested and/or charged. The service does not retain images indefinitely of people who were not subsequently charged or convicted of an offence. The images are retained on the criminal history system and uploaded to the Police National Database, which was created by and is administered by the Home Office. The facial recognition technology has been available to Police Scotland on the Police National Database since 2014 and has been used on 440 occasions. The Police National Database is an extremely valuable resource which helps to prevent and detect crime to make communities safer across Scotland.
Alison McInnes.
I thank the Cabinet Secretary for his answer. Of course, this technology has the potential to help detect crime, but like other biometric technologies, its use must be properly regulated. Yet this has been put into operation without any public or parliamentary scrutiny. The Biometrics Commissioner has warned about the dangers involved in creating this database, as it is subject to none of the controls and protections which currently apply as regards to DNA or fingerprint databases. Does the Cabinet Secretary share the concerns of the expert independent Biometrics Commissioner?
Cabinet Secretary.
Well, it's also important that we take into account any concerns which are raised on these matters, but the member will also be aware that within Scotland we have the Criminal Justice Licensing Scotland Act that provides provision around the retention of information on the criminal history system which Police Scotland operate and which subsequently feeds into the Police National Database. So it would be wrong to suggest that there is no provision around how records are held on individuals who are charged or convicted of offences. But as ever, Presiding Officer, we are always prepared to look at areas where improvements can be made, but I am not aware of any particular concerns that have been identified on the way in which Police Scotland are operating the system that is presently administered by the Home Office.
Ms McInnes.
Thank you for that. I mean, it's important not to be complacent about this. We don't have a clear regulatory framework and proper safeguards. Can I ask what is in place at the moment to prevent the police using the technology to go on fishing trips, to stop them embarking on mass surveillance? Could they identify individuals, for example, at football games, from that? And secondly, the technology hasn't yet been rigorously tested. What safeguards, if any, are in place to prevent wrongful mistaken identification?
Cabinet Secretary.
Well, Presiding Officer, as I outlined in my earlier response, the way in which Police Scotland operate the photographic recognition, facial recognition system is that photographs are only taken of an individual if they are detained, arrested and/or charged. They do not retain images indefinitely of people who have not been subsequently charged or convicted of a crime. So if the person is not charged, if they are dealt with by a disposal which is not a prosecution, or they are found not guilty, the criminal history system which Police Scotland operate is updated to recognise that, which then has a weeding out of those files, and that subsequently updates the Police National Database, which means that any information that is put onto that is removed from the system as it stands. So there is a weeding mechanism in the system in order to remove those individuals who have not been subsequently charged or convicted of an offence, and that ensures that those images are not then retained on the Police National Database.
Elaine Murray.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Cabinet Secretary, do you know whether or not the Scottish Police Authority agreed to Police Scotland uploading custody photographs to the Police National Database? Were they aware? Was there agreement sought? And if it wasn't, is this just like deployment of armed police, stop search? Are the SPA doing their job here? And if they're not, can you have a word with them, try and get them to take some control over what Police Scotland is getting up to?
Cabinet Secretary.
Well, I think, Presiding Officer, it's important we keep a level of perspective around these matters, and trying to wrap this up into armed police officers and stop and search, again, is just blowing it all out of proportion, to be perfectly frank. Look, I believe that there are areas where the Scottish Police Authority can improve the way in which they're operating. The Chief Inspector of Constabulary has already looked at that. There's an action plan in place in order to improve these areas as well. So I think it's important that we recognise that although there will be issues that have to be addressed at various times and how policing is taken forward and how the Scottish Police Authority are operating, I think to try and just roll this all into everything's just bad doesn't help anyone and doesn't take any of these issues forward in a reasonable and considered way.
That ends topical questions. The next item of business is a debate on motion number 13246,